Hello, this is Hi Bob Warbob, and let's play some Ultimate General Civil War.
Hello, and welcome back. Today, we are going to be trying out the camp here for the next battle, Hall's Ferry. So I have it all already done, but I would just kind of want to walk through it, talk some of it out, and we'll see where we get from there. So what I did is I took my best infantry unit, which was amazing. It was huge stats on it. So what I did is I actually took that unit and turned it into 3 units plus an extra 500 that I put up here. So if I want to, after this battle, I'll be able to hit the veteran button, go 2,500, spend 150 grand, and make another unit of my best soldiers. Because my best soldiers I mixed into this division. So this whole division was the top 6 best units that I had. So the best unit that I had no longer exists as it was. So I wanted to have extra men left over so that I could do that. Another thing that I figured out while doing this is you don't ever want to add veterans, if you can help it, to anything but infantry. Because veterans for anything else cost more, just straight up. Even if they have the exact same stats. So like this guy here, for every veteran, it would cost him 80. So what we do now is we destroy this unit, come over here, make an artillery unit. Oh, I can't do it exactly. Okay, so 25 men would be that much. So let's go back and see how many 25 men would do. I forgot that I can't do it directly. 500, create, and then you go 25 men. And that number is not quite half. I think it was like 3,500 and this one is 2,000. So you lose a lot of money by not doing it with an infantry unit. Even if you have if you can get your men down to 0, basically. If you can get your men down to 0, then what you would do is you would break down like what I've done here. So I broke down all my 24-pound howitzers and put them into a unit of infantry, and then I just went ahead and then you can just max them out or move them around however you want as veterans, add veterans in. Basically, I would say that you never want to add veterans to any units that aren't your best unit, because the better your unit is, the more cost efficient it is to add men to it. So what I would do is I would just find whatever unit has the best stats. So like, if you're talking about a cannon unit, you might want to use your one that has max firearms, max efficiency, but has a low melee, just because you don't really care about the melee all that much. Now, on the flip side, you might want to just use one that has stats all maxed out across the board. That the unit of melee cab that you get early on, maybe you just want to always use that. Just leave that as, well, the problem is that it starts out at 300 men. So you have to be careful, because you're going to waste a ton of money if you try to add veterans to that, because you can't make an infantry unit out of that, which is a problem. So we've seen how much it costs for infantry, we've seen how much it costs for artillery. Let's see how much it costs for skirmishers for 25 men. Oh, so it is double. That's what it is. It is double. Because that's 4,000, and the other one was just under 2,000, I think. I gotta check the artillery one more time, just because I'm not sure I actually gave it a fair shot. That's even more. So it was 2,000 goes to 6,000, and the other one. So you don't want to add men to veterans to artillery units like ever. And of course, with cav units, you have a different problem, which is they cost 10 just for the horse that you don't get back whenever you disband them. So even if they cost, like, this doesn't have as high a stats as this, but yet it still costs more. So you can tell that, obviously, and the way we can tell what it is if we go down here and we take our kernel, we can see that this is a 79. Switch back, and then we come over here and we can see that this is a 0. So it is 21 points higher than this melee cav. Total points overall. Obviously, its efficiency, you know, a lot of its stats are, the firearms is obviously a lot higher. The melee is not all that much lower because you only take from where it turns gray. So because this guy has plus 15 melee there, so you have to lower his melee by 15 to count what this is here. And so that's pretty much almost the same. It's like 74 and this is 73. So I mean, it's basically the same melee. And then the efficiency obviously is quite a bit lower, and so is the firearms. So overall, what am I trying to say here? If possible, add vets to infantry if you can. If you can't, add it to whatever you have to. But if you have a choice, and I haven't really looked into this much because I haven't been doing veterans at all. So the second that I did start doing veterans, I started looking at how I could make it the most efficient. And that's what I found. And from now on, that's definitely what I'm going to do. Because there was a couple of times, I think, that I added like 1 or 2 men to a cannon unit just to top it off, to keep it from being undermanned. And now I will no longer be doing that, because that is a lot of money going out the window. Like this right here, this terrible unit that does not have nearly as much stats as that other unit up there costs more than that other unit would. And all I'd have to do is just take this unit, add 25 men to it, then break it down, make a 500-man unit. I'd have 25 men, and then just come over here and add it here as rookies. And it would get all those stats from the better unit. So as you go through, it might be a good idea to just pull out, if you get one unit, maybe it'd be a good idea to do what Something Compass did and just take one unit and just keep pouring all of your best men into it as you get, but only one unit, just the best unit. So this unit is in every single battle. It gains melee, it gains firearms, gains efficiency, and you just keep pouring into it the second best men into the first, over and over and over and over and over and over, until you get this unit to be good enough where it costs, you know, whatever amount you want it to, however good you want it to be, and then just pull 500 men from it, put them over here in the reserve corps, the extras, and then you can just use it to add veterans to whatever units that you need to add veterans to, as long as you can wipe out your average recruit. Okay, so that's those. Then we have our second best tier here. So our top best is actually a 3-star with just regular old 2-star generals. Our next is really, really close. If I had 3-star generals on them, they'd all be 3-star. And then the next ones are almost the same stats. I went ahead and called them something different this time. The top, then the elites, and then vigilant. Just because I felt like it'd be cool to have something a little different this time. Some different names for them. 63s, there's a Harper's Ferry, and 61s. So I'm trying to keep most of my best guns on these units. These guys have such high melee that I just felt like, because I mean, you can see 72 melee compared to 51. Like, these units were those ones that were in the fortifications, and they just absolutely killed it with getting melee. So I wanted to preserve that stat. And obviously this guy's even higher. So the one with the best stats was not... I couldn't make 6 of them. Now we have our next group. These guys are still really high. 83 out of 100 with a 2-star general. But they're not... They obviously don't have the melee. They only have 65 firearms with the perks. But that's still very good. 52 efficiency, not bad. Overall, decent. All of them have max morale, max stamina on all of these guys. And then we get into the first core. So the first 2 on each of these has Richmonds. And then the rest of them, we have a mixture of, there's a 61, Harvest Ferries, 1 sniper, there's some 60, so there's, I guess, 4 61s, 8 Harper's Ferries, 8 CS Richmonds, oh, and there's a couple extra, so 11 Harper's Ferries, which is fine. These guys all need stamina, morale. There's nothing special about the melee ones as compared to the non-melee ones. They just have the Richmonds, and I just named them that way so that I would know that they're my Richmonds. I went ahead and just grabbed a couple of 61s just so I'd have them. I can put them in certain places. They'll be easier to push with. They reload faster and they do more damage. Then I have a few leftover men up here that are just extra men. They're a little bit low on stats, I think. Well, their morale seems higher, but their firearms and melee seems low. I don't know what's up with that. Firearms? No, I guess they're just... These are actually higher. Oh no, that's the 24 pounder. Okay, so these guys are just extra guys that are low stats. I just didn't feel like mixing in the rest of them right now. I'm only taking in this many units, and I wanted to keep them at the stats that they're at. Then we have the 24H guys. This is so that I can make a bunch of 24-pound howitzer units, and these guys are absolute rookies. We have our 5 melee cav and our super infantry. Let's rename this so we don't want to accidentally mix that in with anything. And this leaves us with enough room down here to make infantry units with the men that we're going to gain after this battle, because it's like 1,700 men that we gain, 17,600 men that we'll gain after this battle, plus another 1,000 if we get captures. I did not go ahead and buy the 8,000 men yet because I literally just don't have space for it. Like, I had to make some of my cannons into nothing just to make up for that. We did use one of our generals to make a speed artillery tactics just to see what we can do with that. Hopefully we'll be able to get some extra speed and some extra damage with artillery, which will be kind of cool. We do have a couple of extra 3-star generals that have not gotten their perks picked yet, I think. I'm not sure which ones. Longstreet, Marsh, and Bragg, I think, have not gotten their points picked yet. I will be back in just a second. I'm going to go do a couple things and show you guys some more stuff. So one other thing I forgot to talk about is that I went through and I found all of my high ranking of any one type of general and put them in charge of all these units. And I have this guy just because he's kind of close, and some of them obviously don't have a lot, like this one doesn't have hardly any, but most of them are pretty high towards getting the next star, and that's kind of on purpose. I kind of went through and I picked out all the ones with the highest amount of experience and put them in. Oh, I didn't talk a whole lot about all of my infantry, all my cannons. They're all 3-star. All the 20Ps. I've got a ton of 20Ps now, as you can see. 12 units or 14? No, just 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 20Ps. All either 12 or 11 guns. So that's pretty good. I did buy the 20Ps and also got a few from that last battle. The rest are obviously 10Ps here, which is good enough. Then we have some snipers to round out the number of men in this unit. I'm not sure if I want my snipers here or if I want my snipers in this unit so they come in earlier. The problem with putting them in this unit is that then I would be moving infantry back here, and infantry does not get the bonus from the artillery perk that this guy has, and skirmishers don't get the benefit from the infantry perk from this guy. So it doesn't really make sense for me to put the skirmishers here. If they got the benefits from this, then I probably would, just because I'd rather have my skirmishers get this benefit than my infantry. I'd rather have them get the benefit than have infantry here. The other catch is that I pretty much literally can't afford to have very many more artillery units to take up more room in this one, because if I had another 7 artillery units here, it means I'd have to take 7 units of infantry out of this one to put my skirmishers over here, which then would mean that I would have 7 units of infantry here, and I might lose one of these guys. I might lose all of this, but I doubt it. I don't think it would even take up all of the men in this unit, which then would leave me with like 5 spots left, and 5 spots would be 12,000 men that I could gain, and I'm going to gain 17,000. So I might be able to do like 2, maybe 3 more units of artillery, but that would be pushing it, and I'm just not sure. I'd have to do the math, and I'm not sure. Also, we have 140,000 supply on our main unit, which is amazing, and 70,000 on this unit. The other ones just have 73,000, 35,000, and 35,000. So it's this main unit here that has the huge amount of supply that will allow us to really sit back and use all of this artillery to just blast away at them for a good amount of time. Okay, I'll be back again. Okay, so here is what I was looking at to begin with. I got rid of the rifle cav because they're just too small to make it worth it. So all of them got rolled into something else. I obviously turned the Browns into Whitworth telescopic sights. I still have a few left over. I have about one 150 left over after topping everybody off. I mixed, I got all my 20Ps together. Obviously, we gained a lot of 20Ps. So, like, we had 4 units of 14. We gained, like, 22 of them. Yeah, because that's after I bought them from here. So we gained 22 of them. So that's, another unit and a half of 14 size. So what we did is we just took all the 2s out of these, which gives you another 6. So that's 6 plus that is 28. So that pretty much gives you enough to do all those. And 1111 would be 1111 it's like 4 11s and 3 12s or something like that. So it ends up being. It all works out really well. Oh, there's still 4 in the shop too, so will bring us to 26, and then the 6 from here will bring us to 32, and then you subtract 1 more off of one of these, that'll get you to 33, which is enough to make 3 11s and still have the 3 12s left, and have the 11 from this one, so you get 4 11s and 3 12s. I think that I prefer that over having like a bunch of 15s, because I think that would be your other option, would be to have like 6 15s. I think that would pretty much work. Obviously not exact, it'd be like 15 15, 14 14 14, or whatever it is. But I think that I prefer having a few more over having, because yeah, if it was 28, it would be 2 more that you could add of 14s. And it's not quite 28, it's 26. So it'd be 2 13s and 4 14s is what it'd actually be. Which, I mean, wouldn't be bad. I just wanted to have a little bit more coverage, and I just feel like the 11 12 range is pretty good. Maximizes coverage, and if you had to move one forward, then it doesn't waste as much time on the other ones that can still fire and things like that. So let's show you our best units here. We have this guy here, and across the board here, this guy 78. I guess it's this guy that's the best unit. That is absolutely huge. That's even without picking the last perk, which gives you, I think I pick sharpshooter. The reason I go for sharpshooter is because my efficiency is always lagging behind. This one just gives melee, stamina, morale, and less efficiency. My morale and stamina are maxed on like all of these units anyway, because of the way I fight. So there's no reason for morale and stamina. So getting more efficiency and firearms and spotting just seems like an all-around better deal to me. I mean, that's huge efficiency line now and all that. So a lot of these units gain their 3rd star. Even with a 2-star general, some of them will still have, because like this right here, it still has 30 experience with a minimum 3-star. So that means that even with a 0 bar kernel, it's still got 0 experience. So this is that unit. So this one costs 80 per. That's another way you can tell how good a unit is. If you go to add a veteran, it costs 77 per compared to the 80 per, then you know that it's not quite as good. So a lot of these units are not quite as good. So what we ended up doing is we actually topped off this unit, split it into like 3 stacks of 500, and then topped up all of those to 2,500, or split it into 4 units. Split this into 4 units of 500, and then 3 of them go to 2,500, and 1 of them just stays at the 500, and we moved up here. So that's how we got our best units. Some of these other units that did pretty good, I mean, as you can tell, most of our units didn't take very many losses, so we're looking pretty good on that. These guys took the most losses because they were in that melee, but I mean, you can see what happened to their melee stats here. Like, that's crazy good melee stats now. So overall, I just broke down the unit, all my units piece by piece, used up all my. So first I used up all my recruits, then I came down here and I split that unit into 4 units of 500, like I was saying, topped up 3 of them, because at this point I have so much money that it just doesn't even matter. So that cost me like 450,000 just for that. Obviously I did not buy as many guns as I was thinking about buying. I was going to buy like all the Richmonds, but it was either buy like all the Richmonds or do that other strategy. So I went ahead and went with the other one just because I have a ton of guns that are good. I don't even have to like break out my Enfields or Lorenzes hardly to actually equip all my troops. I know some of my basic units up at the top had them equipped, but I don't think it's because I actually needed to. I think it's just because they're junk units and I didn't want to hold up my good guns on them without knowing where they all were. So yeah, I think I changed over to the Lamats. So I think I bought all the Lamats, bought all the Whitworths, obviously, because you got to do that. Telescopic sights, obviously. These things are terrible. They might be worth just selling off. 165,000. I mean, that's a lot of money for guns that I don't think I want to use. I have so many Whitworths with telescopic sights that it just doesn't seem worth it. Their multiplier at max range is just so terrible compared to the Whitworth telescopic sight. 30% at max and only 10% at max, and 59% at long to 49% at long. Like, no matter what distance you're at, the Whitworth are just better, is all there is to it. I don't think there's any distance where the other ones are better. No, there isn't. They might do slightly more damage or something, maybe. Fire rate 46, fire rate 43. So these fire slightly slower compared to the others, but they do slightly more damage on average, it looks like, because these are 11 and that's 10.45, and 9 and 9.02. So those are only higher just very slightly on the bottom end, but quite a bit lower, almost 0.5 lower on the top end. So it's more likely to roll a little bit higher. It's not anything crazy or anything, but it's a good amount. I mean, whenever your range is only 9 to 11, your range really isn't that big. So that means that it's far more likely to roll towards the top of that, because the range is only 1.5. There's only a 1.5 range, and the other one goes to a 2 range. So hitting center on the one is like a 10. So you do 10 damage every time, and hitting center on this one is like a 9.75. So 0.25 damage higher on average than the other. So, I mean, just overall, better gun, except for the speed of fire. That's it. And I don't think that's worth worrying about. Come over here to Lamats. Obviously, want to buy all those just because why not? It's not that expensive for that many of them. That'll let us equip a full unit of them pretty easy, and including any replacements we might want to make. And also we could go ahead and, you know, open up some of the other guns for other things. We can make more melee cav if we wanted to, but it's just so hard. See, I'm still at -1. That makes me feel really dumb that I did that to myself. I'm so sorry, guys, that I accidentally used extra perk points. I was doing something with a mod that Panda sent me, and it had extra perks in it, and I didn't realize it. I accidentally saved over my old save and ended up going negative, and so I've been negative this whole time. And basically all it was me putting a bunch of points into reconnaissance just because I had a bunch of extra points. I was like, man. So that was my bad. I did not mean to actually keep that as my main playthrough going forward. We could go ahead and buy all the lieutenant colonels, but I don't see a point at this point. We have so many generals and everything that we really just don't need anymore. Okay, so that's pretty much it for showing you what I had to begin with and where I ended up. I'm going to go ahead and break down all my units and show you what their overall stat line is if I just smushed them all into a thing. So I have just barely broken the 200,000 min mark. 50 efficiency, 99 morale, 100 stamina, 47 firearms, 42 melee. It's not a bad unit. We can go ahead and buy the extra min, gets us to 210,000. And if we count up the 17 and basically 18, because if we add the two 600s together, it'd be 17, 18, would be 35. That would get me to 245,000. So I'm about 55,000 short on min. And that's not including the 2k that I can get from the other. So it'd be 247,000 if I lost 0 min and gained 100 from captures and obviously got victories on both of these. So there's absolutely no way I can get to 300,000 men, but almost 250 sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Thinking about doing like a challenge one where I try to get 200 and try to break this number, whatever number I get to go into Washington. Just try to trim down on any losses that I got anywhere and see what I can do there. So that is pretty much it for me today, guys. It has been a long time coming. I know this episode's been a long time coming. I have been pretty busy at work with everything with the virus going on, and everything's just kind of crazy. On top of that, I took probably close to 20 hours, maybe even closer to 30 hours to actually get my army from where it was showing you here to where I showed you at the beginning of this episode. Just trial, error, doing different things, trying out different things, and now, lo and behold, I found one more thing that I want to do, because if I sell off these, I can make another unit of the max infantry, and I'm not going to use these. Especially if I sold off these two, because I don't think I want either one of these. I can also sell off a lot of the Spencers, which is another 150. And I could definitely sell off all those, which is another 70,000. Yeah. And I could probably start selling off some of the 10-pounder parrots, just because that is like way too many to have at this point. And just, you know, sell off like half of them and just use the other half, and that amount there can almost make me another unit of that really good infantry. Of course, right now I only have one full unit of completely base troops, so I won't want to do all of it right now, but after the next battle I'll have some more rookie troops that I can do that with, and that'll be probably a pretty good thing to do. Probably starting with selling off the Browns, just because the Browns are terrible and they're worth a lot. So also the Spencers are terrible too. That'll make me almost as much money. Well, no, the Spencers are good, aren't they? Spencer carbines, they're okay. Spencers are better. Regular Spencers are better, but there's no reason to buy these. You don't get enough of them to actually make a unit out of them. Yeah, any of the other Fayettevilles. I mean, you only get 1,000 at a time maybe, and they're really expensive. And I already sold off all the Springfields that I had. So here you can see how many guns I have. 28,000 63s, 23,000 61s, 30,000 Richmonds, 82,000 Harvest Ferries, 20,000 55s, 50,000 infields, 20,000 Lorenzes. So just like, so right there, that's enough to outfit basically my entire army. And then you take in the infields, and that's definitely enough right there. So it's 100 and 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So that's 200,000 rifles just right there. And then whatever else I need, I can do in infields if I needed to. I'm also going to get guns from the next 2 battles. And some of my men are going to be artillery units. These parrots and the 10-pounder parrots. Not going to use a whole lot of 24-pound howitzers, but maybe I'll see some need for them in Washington. Don't know. We'll see. I know this has been a long one. I'm sorry to have dragged it out like this. I just felt like going a little bit more in depth in this one, just because it took me 20 hours to do this. However long. I don't know. I didn't count it. It was a long time. I just have been, and it takes me a long time whenever it takes this long, just because it's a headache. Trying to get my army together, trying to make it the best that I can, and trying to show you guys, the way that I'm doing things, and not just throwing it together and being like, I just want to be done with this series. I want to take my time, do it right. These last battles are not necessarily harder, but they're more tedious. They're more, I haven't played any of them. They're really long battles. There's a lot of units on the ground, so you have a lot of micromanaging, so you end up losing men to places where you wouldn't necessarily have lost them in earlier battles. So you just have to deal with me while I slowly muddle my way through this. I'm sorry. You guys have a good one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Well, this has been a blast. Hope you guys have had as much fun as I've had. I'll see you again in the next episode. You guys have a good one,